Shalom. Hi, Josh, and hi, friends. I want to invite you to take a moment to maybe browse at the Zoom windows and just say hello with your eyes to each other. And just take a moment to acknowledge that we are in a space of shared practice. And I'm really enjoying seeing students I know and students I don't yet know. Just meeting panim al panim. You know, there's this kind of wonderful quality of meditation when we meditate in groups that we're both going deep, deep within. But also there is something, and this is why I'm sure most of you are here, that there is something about the energy of a group, the togetherness. And there's something also magical about Zoom, that it really enables us to be here from really all over. And that enables me to be with you from the other side of two seas, at least for most of you. Can you imagine? Two seas apart. So, you know, just greeting each other with your eyes, smiling at each other. We start with this. And then when we'll come and close our eyes, we'll come with each other. Kind of like really with this sense of, wow. Ine ma tov u'menaim, shevet achim gam beyachad, gam yachad. How good and pleasant it is that sisters and brothers also sit together. That we don't just talk. Gam also, you know, I always laugh. I try to find like my own interpretations of this also. Gam, yachad, also. And so I want to suggest that perhaps today it's also sitting in silence together with our eyes closed. And so feeling shared presence and connection from within. And so let's take a few minutes of quieting before we go into our learning for today, if you'd like. And this is also a time still to transition. If you still need to close any windows, any devices, to add a shawl, anything to really kind of set up for this very precious moment of meditation. And when you're ready, you're coming to gently close your eyes. And let the next breath in really breathe through you, maybe more vastly. And the next breath out, move through this body. Connecting deeply, deeply to the breath, to the Neshama, as a way of reconnecting to the soul, to the Neshama, this quiet presence. And in these few minutes of quieting before we go into our short learning for today and the meditation of today, I want to invite us to do the Baruch Haba, Barucha Haba'a practice. Welcome practice. And so checking in, how is the body right now? Does it feel hungry or satiated? Does it feel good or not good? Just noticing and then saying, welcome. Welcome, body, as you are right now. Does it feel warm or does it feel cold? And perhaps warm in some places and cold in others. A very simple practice of noticing, coming to contact with what is, Welcome. Welcome warmth, welcome cold. Is there any pain in the body right now? And can I soften? Can I say welcome? You're here anyway. So why don't I welcome you and soften? Welcome. How is my heart today? And perhaps I can discover layers. And sometimes there is both. Can be sadness and fear and some joy and some gratitude. Sometimes we have various layers of emotions at the same time. So can I just invite curiosity and uncover layer after layer? What is there in this heart, in this mind right now? Each time I notice something, I identify something. Welcome. And likewise, if there are any distractions, fidgeting, impatience, drowsiness, all the nice friends that often kind of come along in our meditation practice, can I smile and say, welcome? Welcome, distraction. Welcome, impatience. Perhaps welcome, spaciousness and joy to be here. Right? We're not looking for anything in particular. We're just looking to really see what is, and let it be just as it is. Mm. Welcome, coughing. One more minute of welcoming, arriving. And we take a deep breath in and out. And you are very welcome to stay with your eyes closed as I will share my screen with the source sheet with just a few words on the parasha. You're very welcome to stay with your eyes closed and just receive the teaching before we go into meditating with it. And if you'd like to look at the source sheet, you may, but it really is not necessary nor required. Just your choice, what would be the most supportive for your practice right now. So I want to share with you just a little piece of a commentary of the Mea Shiloach, the class I'm doing this year, the Parashat HaShavua with the Hasidic master, the Ishbitzer Rebbe, whom I really, really love. I'm really enjoying teaching this class, and I thought I would share with you just a little piece of it. Truma, voluntary offering. And we're offering, among other things, right? Zev, vekesef, venechoshet. Gold and silver and copper. Vekhu li truma. And they shall take from me this offering of these metals, these precious metals. And here, the Ishbitzer Rebbe is bringing the Zohar, who is saying, these neged hayesodot hanimtzaim be'adam. These correspond to the foundations, the foundational elements that can be found in the human. And so it made me smile today as I was preparing this, because I thought, okay, in the West, it's a Valentine's Day, and I had this thing, like a heart of gold, this kind of notion. And here the Zohar is saying, you have gold inside. You have gold inside. But it needs to be refined. And how can we refine our own gold that we're to offer? Because this is what we're doing. We're offering ourselves through these trumot offerings. And then the Mea Shiloach is saying, שימסור האדם כל יסודותיו וכוחותיו להשם יתברך, שהוא ישלוט בהם כרצונו יתברך. And so the human being should really give themselves. It's really mesira, is like giving yourself, in a way of surrendering almost the foundations and the strength of us to the divine, to the source of life. It's really a way of saying, in spiritual practice, when I kind of surrender and I say, maybe it's not my ego that needs to rule. Maybe I can let God, right? You may be familiar with this expression. I think it's coming from the 12-step programs, let go and let God. There's something quite deep there. I'm going to stop sharing here. And so I want to invite us to sit with this today. I want to invite us to sit really offering our hearts. Just that. Many times when we meditate, we think we are doing the meditation, and I have to meditate and I have to be quiet. And what if, friends, for the next 10 minutes, you don't have to do anything? You just have to be there and to keep offering your presence. And in Hebrew, paying attention is lasim lev, is to place our hearts. So in a way, kind of the Jewish mindfulness in Hebrew, in the Hebrew language, is giving our hearts. So I want to invite us to do just that for now. If you'd like to close your eyes again, if you open them. And invite a deep breath in and a beautiful breath out. Can we trust the practice enough to let it happen by itself? That all you have to do here is to stay still. Simple, not easy. And keep it coming back to this intention, right? Every time you have a temptation to move or you feel like distracted, just to say, oh, coming back to the heart. Like you're bringing your brain down lower in the body towards the heart and maybe the solar plexus. And then saying, I offer myself to this moment, to God in this moment. And kind of reiterating this intention with each breath. Offering the heart. Noticing where I am. And that if I was distracted, the noticing is the coming back to the heart, to lashim lev, to paying attention. Offering my heart to this moment, to the divine in this moment. And can I let God guide the meditation? Can I let God meditate through me? And can I offer my most beautiful present for the last minute of our seat? We take a beautiful breath in and out. And I want to seal this meditation by sharing with you a song by an Israeli singer I really love, Yosef Cardinal. On one of the prayers we say on Shabbat morning, asking for the divine to purify our hearts. ותאר ליבנו לעבדך באמת, הנחילנו השם אלוקינו באהבה וברצון, שבת קודשך וינוחו בם כל ישראל, קדש את שמך. Beautiful breath in and out. Thanking ourselves for our beautiful practice and getting ready to say Kaddish with Rabbi Josh.
So much, Mira, and just want to encourage you, if you can stick around for reflection and conversation with us in just a moment. And if you need to leave, wish you a tzitchem shalom, farewell, and come back. We'll be back here tomorrow. But in the meantime, if you're saying Kaddish today, if you're remembering somebody that you'd like to put their name in the chat, so we can have them in mind as we recite the Mourner's Kaddish together. And the text is on the screen. And so if you'd like to unmute, if you'd like to join in. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba, Alma divra kirotei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayecho v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala ubizman kaviv v'yimru shmei, Tehei shmei Rabba Mevorach Olam V'Amen.
יתברך וישתבח
V'yishtabach
ויתעלם
v'yit'ar
ויתנשא
v'yitraman
ויתהדר
v'yit'ateh,
ויתעלה ויתפלל שמי
V'yitadar
קדושת
v'yit'ale
בריחו
v'yit'alam
אל
shmei v'kudsha b'richu,
ושרת
Ela
השבחת
mikol
ונחמתה
mirchata
וחסד
v'shirata,
אמירן
Ushbechata
ואמתו אמן.
v'chamata,
שלום רבה מן
V'yamda alma
שמיה
v'yimru,
וחיים עלינו ועל כל
Shmama
ישראל
Rabba
ויאמן.
Mishamaya, Chaim
שלום
Aleinu
במרומיו
v'al kol
יעשה
Yisrael
שלום עלינו
v'yimru,
ועל
Amen.
ישראל ויאמן.
Shalom, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, Hu Yeshnei Tevel v'yimru, Amen. Okay, wonderful. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Okay. So we'll bring Mira back. Hi, Mira, so good always to learn with you and practice with you. And love this teaching from the Mea Shiloach. I think you said it was from that about bringing all of us into the act of bringing ourselves into the truma, the making of the mishkan. That we're bringing ourselves to it, and I'm curious to hear from folks today here, in the chat, what parts of you maybe you found, either that you were bringing or that were difficult to bring, or how that practice was for you, taking that intention in. There was also a question here already from Sharon. Interesting. When my mind wanders, I was drawn to thoughts of gratitude. When does God draw you to meditate on X, whatever? Or what do you feel when the divine guides your thoughts? Like that's really taking the invitation of like letting the divine, take the wheel, as it were, right? Yeah. So I think she's asking you a personal question. I'd love to hear that from others as well in the chat, but yeah, wonder how you respond to that.
Thank you, Sharon. We're starting with the easy questions. What does God do? So one thing I can say is I can't speak for God. And I think it's one of the greatest mysteries of when we know that it's God kind of speaking through us, right? And actually, I can't remember who in Chassidut was saying that there is one way we can sense that God is kind of speaking through us or drawing us in a specific direction, and it's called intuition. It's called intuition. Like there is some kind of clarity, and we know it. I would say that it feels very easy and very aligned, and that we feel very both relaxed and also very clear. This is what I can say from personal experience. I think, God, what does God draw us to meditate on? Another thing that comes to mind is in the Talmud, it says that the seal of God is truth. And truth is very, very central in the Jewish tradition because it's also kind of the structure of the Hebrew alphabet, right? That the first truth is emet in Hebrew. And so it's Aleph, Mem, and Taf. And it's the first and the middle and the last letter of the alphabet. And the alphabet is seen as the kind of blueprint of the world. And I would say this really, right? That if I was to speak for God, which God forbid, but what's coming to mind is truth. And that's why sometimes what we meet in meditation is not necessarily thoughts of gratitude. Sometimes it's difficult what we meet in meditation. And I also want to say it because I don't want others to feel like, oh, I'm not normal or I'm not meditating properly if I don't have beautiful thoughts when I meditate and when I let God speak to me through the meditation. But I would say basically, it's like everything in life, and the Meir Shiloach talks about it a lot, Hasidic masters in general, it's either the ego drives or we let God. And when it's the ego, usually there's this sense of constriction and envy and anger or fear, right? And that's the thing that's interesting, is that you can feel it in the body. That the body is a good indicator of who is speaking through me right now, who is doing the meditation right now. So that's what's coming to mind, and I'll stop for here. I could go on for hours, but I'll stop for here, and I'd love to hear, Josh, if you have any thoughts on this or to see more questions. And thank you for your messages. The name of the song,
I'm muted. Sorry, I was muted. It's pure. I was trying to go ahead. Tell the name of the song, and I'll respond.
No, you can speak, and I'll look for the name of the song. In the meantime, I'll post it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I started talking and then realized I was muted.
I was like, Josh is silent. Okay, we'll continue.
I was meditating. Where I guess the question of where my mind goes, or where I feel it sort of called to go. I mean, for me, it's actually very simple. I always, I really try to come back to the breath and to just awareness in the breath. And I can sense when I, I think for a lot of people, right, that sense of dropping in, like there's a shift in the feeling in the mind that I have when that happens, and a sense of sort of spaciousness and alignment, and then I'm there for a little while, and then it goes someplace, and often that's to things that are on my mind at work, or with my children or something, but but it really is, that's the practice that I do most frequently, is really that basic, very, very basic breath awareness, and there's so much to me that is possible in that, that I feel in that. So, yeah, I'm curious. I'm really curious to hear how other people. It's a great question. It's a really great question. I really love that. Yeah, there's a bunch of good questions that are coming in here also about. Lori asked, I had hand and heart and state in my gold heart. Do you think perhaps there's a difference in our silver hearts and our copper hearts, right? Because the chav, the chesed, and the choshed, right? These three metals that are mentioned, gold, silver, copper. Wondering about that, and whether, and maybe the Master himself sort of goes into, there are gradations in that, but
he doesn't in this commentary. It would be very tempting to say, in our spiritual practice, for instance, we go through a process of refinement, and so we can move from copper to gold, right? It could feel logical to go there. And I want to say, I like better this idea that the heart is already always gold. Just like the Neshama, when we say to God, Hashem Neshama, Shinatata bi tehorahi, the soul you've given me is pure, that the heart is gold. It's just covered sometimes with klipot, with kind of, layers. And those of you who've been in the Buddhist world before, and I'm sure there are many of us, like myself, there was this metaphor I really loved at the time of the diamond. And that spiritual practice is about polishing the diamond. It's about like cleansing, actually, just the layers of dirt and dust that cover it, which are, again, we're coming back to this, the ego that we built around us, this persona and the defenses, the defense mechanisms and the conditioning. And that's what truth does, by the way. It just cleanses, just like cleans. And sometimes it's very hurtful, by the way, because there's nowhere to run away. If you really give yourself to the practice of truth, it's not so easy. And I want to share with you, because I believe in kind of anecdotes from real life. So I have a group in French also. My mother is in this group. She sits with me. And then my mother's best friend, she came and she sits with us. And lately she's disappeared. And she's going through a very difficult time. She's dealing with very serious illness. She has a friend who's has a very serious illness as well. And so she was telling me yesterday on the phone, she said, I'm sorry, I didn't come to the meditation. I haven't come for a while. Even the idea of meditating anguishes me. I can't. Do you know why? Like, how is that? And I told her, I said, it's very normal because you're going to meet the truth. And if the truth is excruciating pain and fear, you don't want to go there. Yeah. So this process of refining the goal that's there, it's simple, but it's not so easy. And sometimes it takes a lot of courage. So I really want to say it because I also want to honor your practice. It takes a lot of courage to practice.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, and Laura just asked a question that is kind of related, right? It's like, what happens, or is there guidance? Or, when you wind up in that place that may be more painful, more than you feel like you can handle right now, and yeah, I guess, what do you, it certainly sounds like there's experience here. So I'm curious. Yeah. You can speak from your own experience.
Yeah, it's a very important question. I think basically, two levels. There's the level where it's bearable, that you can actually meet the pain. And that may mean really crying during the meditation and just feeling yourself overwhelmed by pain and submerged. But as long as you feel you can hold space for your own experience, then the recommendation is to just hold space, to be there. And to be the kind of loving mother or even grandmother. And I'm talking not your biological mother, the cosmic one that you are, including if you're a man, right? Holding space for the pain is such a healing practice. It's a very healing practice. So the truth and then the kindness, they really go together. That being said, sometimes if you are in a state of post-trauma or something really, really too difficult. And usually you feel it when it's not manageable. You feel it physically. You're sweating, you're shaking, you're red, you're dizzy. Get up, stop meditating. We really insist on that. Like it's very, very important. It's a whole trend today. It's called trauma sensitive mindfulness. And it's kind of correcting the idea we used to have, and I used to have also before that, sit through it. No, don't sit through it no matter what. There is a threshold, and you know when you reach that place. And it's very important. And so basically that's the idea, hold yourself, hold the pain, make space for it, let it speak to you, let it right. And I'm sure we all know the experience that when we cry, when we let ourselves cry after, we feel lighter, we feel better, we feel at peace. We can be sad and appeased. So
yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, and I think that the trend certainly, there's been so much now about trauma-informed teaching and practice, right? And there's much more awareness of that that's been raised in recent years. And so, yeah, for sure.
I'm
Yeah,
seeing
go
a
ahead.
question about the link to the French group. So I'm just going to put my email, and feel free to write to me and for any other question, and I'll send you the info for the French group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's
And
great.
beautiful questions and beautiful sharings. And I'm so sorry we can't address everything.
Yeah. I love this idea that Cheryl raised, right? That the truma is right is called nadiv libo. It's everybody whose heart is moved. It has a voluntary gift, and then it comes from the heart. So could it be that it starts with the heart of gold, and then there are other dimensions that could be symbolized by the silver and the copper,
Yeah.
which is also a lovely idea. Yeah.
You know what's coming to mind about the silver and the copper is that the silver is kesef, and it's the basis for actual money, right? Kesef today in Hebrew is and so there's another type of offering, which is the chetzi shekel, and which is like really a very small amount of money just to say we are all equal. And so there is this offering. And then the copper, the nechoshet, it's said in our midrashic tradition that it's what the woman at the beginning of the book of Shemot, they would bring mirrors to look at themselves and to play with their husbands, and this is how they had children. And then these mirrors, the copper was used to build the basins where the Kohen is washing their hands. And so they all have, this is an interpretation, it's not in the commentary, but I know in the Torah that there is a space definitely for kesef and for copper, a very holy place for each of them.
Yeah. Beautiful. There's a lot we can unpack here, right? And lots of and for the artistically inclined, these parshiot are definitely some of the richest because of the artisan aspects and the material aspects and the fusing of spiritual and material, right? There's a lot of really wonderful midrashic material here to work with of making meaning of it in these different ways. So Mira, thank you so much. It's always such a pleasure to have you here. Thanks everybody for being here today. We'll be back again tomorrow to do this all again. And until then, wish you blessings and be safe and be well the rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Friends.